If you're an Aries or Aries rising, you might feel like you are ready to move before life gives you permission. Explore why in this look at the core nature of Aries Decan 1, born between March 21st and March 30th and ruled by a double dose of Mars. This is concentrated Mars energy. It initiates, it acts, and it moves without hesitation. You see it in people born during this period, in those with Aries rising, and in individuals with Mars and Aries. This is also the tarot card, the Two of Wands, co-ruled by the Aries archetype of the Emperor and the planetary force of Mars itself. This video focuses on three expressions of that energy as it appears in the personality of those born here: the light expression, the shadow expression, and the balanced expression. The light shows what happens when action is aligned with purpose. The shadow shows what happens when the personality is under stress. And the balance shows how force can be directed without losing control. Now let's look at the light or positive sides of this personality. At its best, this energy is decisive and fearless, direct and courageous. You see it in a simple moment. A problem shows up, everyone hesitates, and you are already moving to solve it. These individuals recognize what needs to be done and move toward it without hesitation. There is very little delay between perception and action, which creates a natural form of leadership. There's also a strong current of self-reliance. These individuals trust their instincts and do not depend on consensus before taking action. They initiate. At the same time, they are often very popular with the opposite sex, carrying a direct and magnetic presence. And despite their independence, they need society. They are energized by being around people and having somewhere to direct that force. Problems are not avoided, they are engaged directly. And if we are being honest, this energy does not ask, should I? It asks, why has this not been done already? If you are born under this decan, your core nature carries its corresponding shadow. When you are under stress, you take things personally. You hear threat where there may not be one. You react quickly. In conversations, in decisions, and in moments you later wish you had handled differently. Under stress, the same qualities that make this energy effective begin to distort. Your decisiveness turns into impulsiveness, sometimes aggression. Your directness turns into impatience and reactivity. The speed remains, but the discernment drops. Individuals born here or who have a rising here can still identify problems quickly, but choosing between two viable paths requires pause, and this double dose of Martian energy does not naturally prioritize pause. Without that pause, action turns into reaction. This is where your anger comes in. Not always explosive, but often immediate and cutting. There can be a tendency to override others, to push forward without listening, to assume that movement itself is progress. And in relationships, you take the driver's seat, creating one-sided dynamics and leaving others unheard. So the shadow here is not weakness, it is an excess of aggression. Too much force, too little reflection. And in practical terms, this energy can win the argument and still lose the relationship. A balanced Aries Decan 1 personality is not about softening this energy, it is about directing it. This shows up in small choices. You feel the impulse to act, and instead of reacting, you take one breath, then move with intention. At its best, this becomes disciplined and intentional, controlled and focused. Mars does not need to be reduced, it needs to be aimed. Mars rules movement, action, and physical energy. Without competitive sports or sustained physical exertion, this energy turns on you. Consider routine exercise as a way to balance the extremes in your personality. The principle is simple. Act but aim, move but choose. Because when this energy is balanced, it is powerful and effective. When it is not, it simply expends itself without direction. Next, we'll look at well-known personalities born in Aries Decan 1 or with Aries rising in this decan. We can see this pattern clearly in well-known individuals. Larry Page, born March 26th, co-founder of Google, fits the Aries-Mars thesis through an innovative and independent form. He identified a problem and acted without waiting for permission, building a system from scratch. This is Mars initiating and executing. Nancy Pelosi, born March 26th, fits the thesis through a strategic and forceful form. She acts decisively under pressure and holds direction in complex and highly competitive environments. This is Mars directing force with control. Vincent van Gogh, born March 30th, reflects an intense and expressive channel of this energy. Action moves directly into creation. His work carries urgency and movement, a creative symbol of the Aryan spring equinox. Francisco Goya, born March 30th, expressed a bold and confrontational vision. He engaged reality directly and without softening. This is Mars cutting through appearances, another creative expression of the Aryan spring equinox. We should also note that this energy shows up strongly in Aries rising individuals. Sofia Boutella, born in Aries, but also with an Aries rising in this decan, is known for her physical and kinetic performances. She started competitive gymnastics at 10 and later began dancing in film and television shows. Boutella was one of Madonna's backup dancers for 6 years and has gone on to appear in many well-received films. Across these examples, the pattern is consistent. The energy itself is not the issue. The direction of that energy determines the outcome. To understand more about how Mars in Aries works in seasonal energy or in card readings, go to the link below. And as always, I am extremely grateful for any likes and subscribes.